When it rains, it pours. And for the 1995-96 Ohio State Buckeyes, losing to Tennessee in a soggy Citrus Bowl was a gut punch.
We needed to score touchdowns to beat this fine Tennessee football team. They're a real fine offensive team. And as it turned out, we didn't get the job done.
The Buckeyes were playing for redemption after a disappointing loss to Michigan that ended a perfect season and a shot at a national title.
We felt really good and confident heading into the game. In lieu of their talent, we believe that we're more physical, we're better prepared, and we had a chip, an axe to grind losing to Michigan. So we get there. The weather's crappy.
The weather put a damper on field conditions, so Tennessee panic-ordered cleats to help with footing in soggy conditions.
Tennessee ordered some cleats from a company in Cookeville, Tennessee, and they screwed up the order and they sent Tennessee soccer cleats. The soccer cleats were a little bit longer than football cleats, and they were longer than regulation football cleats.
Jimmy Hyams has covered the Vols for 40 seasons and said 19 players wore them, but only 8 played in the game.
A couple of cornerbacks, a couple of receivers, a couple of defensive linemen.
On a couple of comeback routes and deep outs, Terry Glenn slipped, and Terry Fair kept his balance.
Former defensive back Ty Howard was focused on having one of the best games of his career. But he did recall a moment of cleat controversy tackling Vols receiver Joey Kent.
I had hit him, and I knocked him over, and he rolled over. And when he rolled over, just ironically, his leg and cleat hit Dr. Kading in the knee, and Dr. Kading was protecting himself, and he had reached down to move his knee, and he kind of caught Joey's cleat, and Joey's laying there was like, and he kind of snatched his foot away and was like, get off my foot, what are you doing? And he's calling the ref over saying, hey, look at their cleats, they're illegal. But as a player, you're like, well, who cares if they have an inch, longer spike? It wasn't that big of a deal.
But the illegal cleats were a big enough deal that after the Vols' 20-14 win, the coaching staff had to testify before an ethics committee.
The head coach went before the committee, and the equipment manager, Roger Frazier, went before the committee, and they had to testify that basically it was an honest mistake.
An honest mistake that has stuck with Buckeye fans and former players, including Heisman winner Eddie George.
I'm interviewing Eddie George, who played for the Titans, and he's in Knoxville. And so as I'm interviewing, he said, hey, by the way, Tennessee cheated. They wore those long cleats against us, or they wouldn't have beat us in the Citrus Bowl. So he brought it up out of nowhere.
The Vols may have had a slight competitive advantage, but Ty Howard said if it were no rain and all shine, it would have been a better result for the Buckeyes.
Again, I'm not going to call the Volunteers cheaters, right? Because I respect the program. However, you put us on a neutral field, again, without the rain, we win that game. We win that game.
Great stuff there on that story, Kellyanne. First off, I do want to propose the idea that we don't need to refer to every scandal as Gate on the suffix. That's just a personal thing. Okay. That said, let's talk about Cleat Gate.
Is that you're good now?
Let's talk about Cleat Gate.
We're going to talk about the Cleat Gate.
Okay, so, you shared some funny stories there. A couple you didn't even fit into that story. One of them, what is the rumor of what happened after that game?
So Jimmy Hyams, who's covered the Volunteers for 40 seasons and that game, he said that he learned later that John Cooper, he was not very happy about the cleats, right?
Sure.
So Coop sent his son into Tennessee's locker room to go try to steal one of those cleats and try to prove that they were playing with illegal cleats. They were longer than the regulation. He was upset about it. Some of the players were upset about it. Shoot, as Jimmy just mentioned, Eddie George still brings it up. He also mentioned that didn't make the cut on the story, that he just done an interview with Tennessee running back Jay Graham, who I believe was MVP of that game. And Jay was interviewing for a job at Tennessee State with Eddie George, and Eddie even brought it up to Jay, like, hey, you guys cheated with those cleats.
Yeah.
But Ty Howard, he's taking a different approach. He said, let bygones be bygones. Was it a slight competitive advantage? Yeah. But is that the reason they lost the game? No. So he's looking for redemption, even from the Buckeyes this year, because, Dave, there are some eerie similarities between that game, that team, and these two teams are only meeting for the second time ever, nearly 29 years later.
Yeah, I don't need to bring it up to Buckeye fans, but I believe 1995 ended with a loss that shouldn't have happened against a team you don't want to talk about. Yeah, there are some similarities, right?
At home, they were undefeated at the time. Of course, the Bucs had this one loss in the season before that team up north. But yeah, looking at Tennessee, they had Peyton Manning, who's a sophomore quarterback. Tennessee now has Nico Yamaleava, who's a young, talented sophomore quarterback. Both teams had really good defenses. Ohio State had tons of talent on the offensive side of the ball, defensive side of the ball. Well, I mean, tons of talent. They both had really good defenses. Some weird similarities happening.
Yeah, 1995 was one of those years of just what if. I know there were a lot of those years, it feels like, during the John Cooper era, but it also makes me think, as an old guy rant here, I miss bowl games like the Citrus Bowl when it mattered, right? Like now, that's the one drawback to the playoff. It feels like everything else feels second tier now. The playoff, I think, is a very good improvement, but I miss the days when two fan bases like this would go crazy over the Citrus Bowl.
Citrus Bowl. They were excited. They said that we had a respectable bowl game. We had a respectable opponent and a talented Tennessee team. But the good thing is, the one difference between this game and that game is the Buckeyes still have a shot at a national championship.
Yeah, and we're going to talk